going out and hunting, and man kind of multiplied really fast because they love sex. So you got all these human beings running around, so it made it more harder for the giants to get their food and compete. Just like with like the settlers when they moved into across the country, and then all of a sudden the Indians didn't have enough food because the white men sat there and virtually killed all the food.
Well, and as the white as the humans as we know them began to grow as a species, the numbers of the giants were probably dwindling.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah.
So when it got to a certain point, you hear a lot of these stories where the giants were killed off.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine being able to do that, but as their numbers diminish because of the conditions on the planet not being able to support that life as well as it used to, and the fact that they're having to work harder and harder to find food, I can understand a little bit easier how it would be to kill them off.
Well, as
in less numbers, when you're outnumbered 100-1, it'd be a lot easier to take you out.
Oh yeah, especially when they didn't have enough food. I mean,
yeah.
their groups of them would would slowly dwindle down. So they would get down in the smaller groups, okay, and then here comes the humans, right? They're scared of the giants, so what they want to do is get rid of the giants because the giants by then, a lot of them turned into be flesh eaters of whatever food they could get.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then let's face it, it's survival of the fittest.
Oh yeah.
I am going to do whatever it takes to survive.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess maybe if it was only me and you were 13 feet tall, you
might be able to get along.
Yeah, or if we got into a fight, you're going to win. I'm not going to win. But now, if it's only like 3 of you and 50 of me, you're not going to have a chance.
No.
So
absolutely.
And I think that's what probably happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it a lot. And a lot of the research and a lot of the talk, and if people out there who have never really researched this, and if you've researched UFOs or ghosts or any other paranormal that's mainstream paranormal, your head's going to spin when you start researching giants.
Oh yeah,
because there's stuff that's been, there's information that's been put out to us that we just haven't seen yet. They've been putting it out there for 50, 60 years.
Oh yeah.
It's just we haven't seen it. We haven't looked for it, but it's there. There's people that have been researching this their entire lifetime.
Yeah, and it's just been too many, like I said earlier, it's just been all around the world, and it's not just recently. When you start talking about early 1900s, 1920s, 1890s even, where they started finding skeletons, and then you're hearing about it in South America, you're hearing about it around Mount Everest, you're hearing about it, in Nevada. It's just
Asia,
it's just
Africa.
Yeah, it's just there had to be something, and plus they have the bones to prove it. I mean, it could be.
And in some instances, there were places where bones were discovered, and the bones were hauled off, supposedly to be studied, and never seen or heard from again.
Oh yeah, and I wonder if that was the government's involved in that.
Well, if they're found in North America, in the United States or Canada, I would just about believe that could happen. It would surprise me if it didn't happen.
Why would you think that would happen? Why would you think the government would try to cover it up? Be honest.
Just like I said earlier, if it can't be put in a box very neatly, tidily into a box, explained, and set up on a shelf, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, they don't want it to exist. I mean, you talk like...
But to them, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, like UFOs don't exist, right? But It's been too many people for too many years. We're going back to biblical times that seen flying machines, okay? Well, but they don't exist. They don't exist, Ryan. It's our imagination.
We're talking about no internet, no mass communications. The only way people communicated back then was face to face, or
Yeah.
they left drawings in their caves on the walls of their abodes wherever they dwelled.
Yeah. Well,
That was how they communicated.
yeah, even going at Egyptian times, there's drawings, right, of giants. I
Yep.
mean, is this in, like the one-eyed giant and three-eyed giant, but they always, show them compared next to the man. The man looks like a midget, and here's, a giant. And it's just, it's just too many. I just can't believe it could have not happened because it's just been too many cases. I mean,
And I'm a firm believer that when you see drawings of the Cyclops type giants, things like that, that's kind of fabricated or embellished a little bit, because all the skulls and all the bones that they found have been very much man-like.
Well, let me give you an eye opener really quick. Let's say somebody is like 5 foot tall or 4 feet tall, and they're looking at somebody that's a foot or 2 feet taller than them. They're gonna be like, "Whoa, that guy's really tall," or "That guy's huge."
Well, they would look at you as a god at one point.
Yeah, and what if at one point like a king or a king was ruling and he was like 8 feet tall and all his subordinates were like 3 feet or 4 feet tall. They're gonna look at him like, "Whoa, he's a giant."
Well, I don't think there was anybody 3 foot tall,
I
unless
know.
the
I'm just
pygmies in
saying,
Africa, maybe.
Well, yeah, and they would. I mean, there are people today that look at tall people and quote unquote call them giants.
I
Are
kind
they
of do.
giants? No.
I kind of do because I'm a small person. I'm short.
Yeah,
It's all perspective.
yeah,
Exactly.
It's all in your perspective.
yeah. It's just too many artifacts have been found at this point that it has to be the bones. I mean, even if they were freaks, okay, but we're not talking about somebody it's maybe 3 feet taller than what me and you are. We're talking somebody it's roughly twice the size or height as or more than me and you. And
Or more, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no disease out there I know of that'll make somebody 12,
You're not
13 feet tall. And if they did, most of those ones would died out before they even hit 20. Because
You're not
they're
talking about
they're-
basketball players, are you?
No, but their heart and their body and that stuff would not support it.
Well, and like I say, they have done experiments where they have piranhas that in the normal situation on the planet Earth right now, this particular species of piranha would be about a 4 or 5 inch long piranha. Placed in an environment that tries to reproduce what they think the Earth was like back in these days, back in the the prehistoric days. These same piranha are growing 8 to 10 inches long,
Oh yeah,
and much larger all around.
yeah. Boy, they could rip a lot of flesh off of that. I tell you that.
Oh man, yeah. So that right there kind of tells me that the direction science has gone with this is the right path in
Yeah.
my mind.
Well,
At least it explains it. Whereas
where I'm
with UFOs or aliens, it's hard to explain. I mean, you can sit there and say, okay, the universe is, unimaginably big, and it would be very, very tough to convince me that the size of this universe is that we're alone. Okay, that's just the way my mind works.
well, hey Ryan,
But
I'm going to say
this whole deal, they have science that they can sit down and say we can prove this was possible.
well, you know what's really bad is there's people that still think the Earth is flat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's
You got to think about this one. So when you're driving down the road, you're going straight. So when somebody says the Earth is flat, well,
hey,
when you're going down like a highway or something, you're just going straight, and you're seeing.
you're not going straight.
Well,
you,
that's
you
what
think
they-
you're
and there are-
you think
there
you're
are-
going straight.
straight.
You're
There
not.
are places on the planet where you can drive in a straight line and you can see the curvature of the Earth
Yeah, that you're absolutely right.
dropping off the horizon.
Yeah. But I'm getting back to people saying, "Oh, that some people believe the Earth is flat." Okay, so I mean, to somebody you sit there and say, "Hey, there's no UFOs," and they could debunk it, say they don't exist. They are the same classification. I hate to say it to me as the person that says the Earth is flat.
Yeah, if you're going to come out and 100% dismiss it, you better have some proof.
Oh yeah.
Just like for me to say, there was a UFO sighted on such and such a date, such and such city. Okay, I'm going to have something to back that up, whether it be an image or a story or eyewitness, whatever it is. There's going to be something. Just like with the giant thing, there's tons and tons and tons of evidence, including the Bible, that talks about giants on the planet and among men.
Yeah. So
that's some type of proof. Whether it satisfies everybody or not, I'm sorry, but
well, I hate to say
get me interested.
Well, if you believe in the Bible, then you have to believe there were giants. Now, if you
There
don't,
you go.
if you don't believe in the Bible, then you probably won't believe there were giants. And if you believe,
Well, and that's the thing that really gets me is because science can. So here we are. If you believe in the Bible, and if you don't believe in the Bible, well, most folks that believe in the Bible are religious.
right?
Okay, most folks that don't believe in some type of God or higher being tend to lean to the scientific side. We've got evidence from both sides.
Well, put it this way: you think seriously that any government would ever admit that there were UFOs, even if they have tons and tons of proof that there were aliens walking among us? They're going to say there isn't any because people won't accept it. They'll panic. The same way
it would change society as we know it.
Yeah, in the same way with giants. If there is a tribe of giants somewhere and we know about it, you think they're going to sit there and say that there's still giants of walking the earth? They don't, because it'll contradict everything that science and the government and what we've been told since we were little kids.
Yep.
I got something.
Future
to add.
pre-decided.
Yeah, that's what gets me. So, I mean, my feeling is, yeah, I think there were giants. I think there's overwhelmingly proof showing that there were giants. So if you don't want to believe in giants, that's up to you. But I think they did exist. I think there is traces of giants yet walking the earth as humans that have some of the genes in them, because undoubtedly, from what I read, the giants did have sex with humans.
Well, basically, any way a government can't make money off of it, they're going to try to debunk. So, if there is a God, they're going to try to debunk it if they can't make money off of it. Their way of thinking is like, ooh, let's make a profit off of it. If they can't make a profit off it, then they will debunk it any way they can.
Well, it's kind of the opposite as far as religion goes. Our country, the United States, was formed by people who came here on the premise of being able to have freedom of religion.
But you got to find it yourself, though. You got to be able to search for
Well,
the information
yes, but
yourself.
when you're born, for the most part, if you're born into the Jehovah's Witnesses, or to be Catholic, or to be Christian, or whatever it is, that's what your parents are going to kind of push you towards, not necessarily intentionally, but that's what you're going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
That
So you're
way
going to
of
grow
belief.
up as a young mind full of mush, bringing in all this information. You're going to believe it.
Yeah, because that's how you were taught. You were taught
Yeah.
what the priest said in church, or what you learned in Sunday school. I mean, each one of those.
If you're born in a tribe in South Africa that still lives off the land all by themselves, they have no technology, and they're teaching their kids that, hey, we come from elephants.
Yeah,
Those kids are going to grow up believing we come from elephants.
yeah, they're elephant man. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well,
The government, our government, everybody who's ever been prominent in the government, president, things like that,